Take 4 of this video. Because I suck at doing this, apparently. I lost my touch. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Anyway, okay, instead of trying to be professional, I guess I'll just be fucking candid then, okay? Maybe that's the way to get this thing done. Hi, Sathika, if you don't know me. I decided that I was in the mood to make a video, and I decided also that I would be talking about the issues that I had with Tumblr, because I've already been talking about that all day. So, part A, the echo chamber effect. So, the thing that has been studied about social media for eons, I feel like, well, you know, ever since social media came around, is that it ends up polarizing people much more than mainstream media does, which tends to, like, moderate and center people, you know, while social media, on the other hand, because it's a platform for people to talk to people that they agree with, it tends to polarize people. Tumblr does this, but on a level that I am not comfortable with. It does this in the way that it is a giant echo chamber of literally just people talking to people that they agree with about things they agree with. And that's it. That's the whole conversation. It's not even a conversation. It's not a dialogue, because you don't have another viewpoint. And I don't mean like the devil's advocate viewpoint or anything. I literally just mean another viewpoint. There's no other viewpoint. There's not a dialogue. It's not a conversation. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a giant mess of just people talking to people that they agree with about issues that they agree on, and it just goes on and on like that, and you just get nowhere, and people talk over each other, and people talk with each other, and people talk against each other, but it doesn't go anywhere. The conversation doesn't move anywhere. They just talk about the problems and that they exist, and that's it. That's the entire issue. There's no talk about how to feasibly solve these problems in the real world that we exist in. There's just very little of that if it does exist. And obviously, everyone that follows me probably knows that I am not a believer in the word slacktivism at all. So this isn't like a social media thing. This is like you guys literally just need to stop talking about things that everyone already agrees on and start, like, bringing the conversation to another level that actually gets things to change, and also just brings in other viewpoints. Because if there's one thing that I've learned from my semester in DC, it's that having a diversity of viewpoints in any respect of the matter is, like, so helpful to solving problems. Like, when you have, you don't even have anyone on the center. You don't even have to have someone on the complete right, you know, or even the moderate right. Just someone that is a moderate, maybe even. Like, just someone that doesn't necessarily agree with you, even if that means, like, having to defend your viewpoint. Like, the one thing that I realized was that I had, like, when people would ask me why something was important to me, I had no response to that, because that's not talked about on Tumblr at all. It's just these things that are, yes, that's important, and this is not why, but this is important, and that's it. There's no talk about why it's important. There's no talk about, like, how to get other people to realize that it's important. And I know that Tumblr is supposed to be like a safe space kind of thing, and I've made this argument multiple times where it's not supposed to be an advocacy thing. It's supposed to be, like, you know, a safe space for marginalized people to come and be able to talk about their problems. But if you're going to advertise it as an advocacy, like, campaign even, or something that's trying to change the world, you have to stop living this echo chamber of people that agree with you. Even if it's on a social media platform. Stop that. The second part of that first part is the sense that you need to be aware of the world that you live in, of what the world that we live in looks like when we talk about how we want to change it. Like, you need to have a sense of what the data looks like, what policies are already being presented to, like, try to fix the problems, and, like, come up with your own solutions, your own recommendations. Like, I mean, for instance, okay, granted, I've actually never seen this post personally, but I've heard from people that there was a post going around a while ago that literally just called for us to get rid of pronouns completely. Just get rid of them. And that's, like, one of the times that I'm just scrolling through my dash, and I just see it, and I look at it, and I'm just like, what? Like, how did you come to that? How? What? And it was literally just because, like, pronouns are hard. So get rid of them. Solid. Okay, what are you going to put in place of that? What are you going to fill that gap that is there in society now with? That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you need to be aware of what the world looks like before trying to change it. And I'm all for changing the world, obviously. But, like, really, guys. And there's also... Oh, yeah, okay. Like, for example, like, the work that we did at CAP, the race policy team did a lot of work with looking at communities of color and police forces and how to rebuild the trust there and the accountability systems, etc., all that shit that's happening, right? And one of the things that they found that didn't work is the racial demographic of the police force itself. Having more people of color in the police force didn't increase the level of trust between communities of color and the police force. And that's something that I think is important to, like, realize, you know what I mean? Like, while coming up with solutions and things. Because, like, I've seen a lot of posts on my Dash that are like, oh, well, you know, it's because all cops, like, there's too many white cops and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's a huge issue. And, like, I mean, the ACLU Pittsburgh, like, you know, I worked with them on, like, fixing the employment discrimination there, and that's a huge problem, yes. But that's not going to solve this police brutality issue that we're trying to face right now. And that's proven by data and statistics and stuff. Like, that's what I mean. Like, we really need to be better about, like, figuring out the real solutions and recommendations to these problems instead of just crying about the fact that they're there. Because we get it. Like, they do exist. And other people get it too. And especially in combination with the echo chamber thing, like, if you're just crying about the fact that these problems exist to people that already know that the problem exists, this isn't going to solve anything. This isn't going to change anything. It's not going to do anything. The conversation's not going to move any further. We as society are not going to move any further. And I'm not trying to say that's all on you guys, but, like, if you're going to pretend it is, please do it correctly. And that brings me to the third thing. It's the sense of absolutionism that's on Tumblr, where it's like a celebrity, just, I don't know, just any celebrity. I'm not even going to pick name right now. It's just too much. That celebrity does one good thing, and suddenly they're lionized as this huge, awesome person that's awesome and can never do any wrong whatsoever, and they're great. And cue Lego theme, everything is awesome song playing in the background, like, literally. And then another celebrity maybe does one bad thing in their life, and it's this sense of, oh my god, they're garbage, they're trash, they're awful human beings, and they should never be allowed to do anything ever again. And granted, there are some things that, like, if you do them, yeah, you are garbage and you're trash and you're horrible and awful. And if there's a pattern of this, then yes. But there's this sense of absolutionism where as soon as it happens, there's no sense of, like, all of these good things that this person did before doesn't matter at all because they're trash and they're awful. And that's just a really dangerous mentality to have, I feel like, where nothing can be a gray area, where everything's black and white and nothing can be a gray area. Like, that's just really dangerous, and I'm trying to stay away from that as a whole and as a general principle. But yeah, and I mean, that brings me to another point where it's like conversations are usually very, very binary on Tumblr, if they are conversations at all. See points A and B. But anyway, okay, last point, and I really shouldn't even have to say this. I can't believe I have to, but guys, communism is a terrible idea. I cannot believe that I'm actually seeing posts about how communism is good and that we should do it. Like, I'm just really concerned about that. Like, how and why, and have you ever opened a history book in your life? Like, let's just not go there. Okay. That was end. Okay, goodbye.